Hello everyone, Richard Fredrickson here again with Profiles, and you're going to like this one, particularly if you were a teacher, student, parent of anyone who went to Joliet East High School. Ah yes, the history, stories, the memories, and all about the upcoming reunion in just a couple of days happening, and we hope that you tell your friends, your neighbors, even people you don't like, but the people who went to Joliet East, you got to let them know, okay? Lynn Lichtenauer over here, this handsome young man who was the last homecoming king of the Joliet East High School. Now he does his homecoming at First Security Bank. Joe Kirking, good to have you.
Thank you, sir.
Both of you. All two,
Thank
both
you,
of you.
Richard. Thanks for inviting us.
It's great to have you here. Lynn and I did a little rehearsal earlier. We were at WJOL, so you're the only one who's unrehearsed.
That's
so
right. Well,
I'm going to do all my questions to you.
Perfect.
Okay.
Notice his tie?
Is there something special about that tie?
Well, the Kingsman colors, green and gold. So he wore a tie to tie in with today's show.
Yeah, and the gold's in his pocket.
I
felt it
from First Secure.
Yeah, exactly. Very good. Jay Bergman, don't worry. Yeah. Listen, we are going to get, before the reunion, and we'll do this a couple of times so people get the information, but tell me a little bit about the history of Joliet East High School. And to do that, actually, you need to give the history of JT, Joliet Central, and Joliet West, and then Joliet East.
All right.
Okay?
That's a tall order. So, okay. I was former director of alumni for Joliet Township High School. So, Joliet Township, or JT, affectionately known, opened in 1901 through 1964, the spring of 1964. In the fall of 1964, the Board of Education opened Joliet West, Joliet Central, JT became Joliet Central, and then Joliet East. So that's the history. Now, unfortunately, Joliet East was only open for 19 years, but in those 19 years, they were amazing. It was quite a school. The students, the faculty, the pride. So, 1983, Joe was as Richard said, the homecoming king, but he also was in the last graduating class. So, but we're not celebrating that. What we're celebrating is hashtag Kingsman Forever. 54 years of the Kingsman from 1964 through 2018 and still going strong. Am I wrong?
That is still going very strong.
Oh my gosh.
It is a strong common bond that holds us all together.
You made a good remark this morning when we were on air for WJOL. You mentioned the draw. I mean, we can say all of these things about Joliet East, but what you mentioned.
All of the events that we do, and the two of us are involved in a lot of events.
And so is Joe, too.
And Joe, I think you'll agree with this. You can have the disc jockeys and the country bands and the rock bands and the purpose and the fundraising, but really the people get together so they haven't seen each other for a year. They renew friendships, relationships, and how are you, Betty and Joe, and isn't it great to see you, and how's the family, how are the grandchildren, all of that kind of takes place. And that's kind of the glue also that brings people together.
And that was so, 5 years ago, we hosted the Kingsman at Memorial Stadium, and there was over 1,000 people there. Joe was on the committee at that time. And I stood by in the joy on people's faces when they saw each other. Sure. The faculties are were close as the students, So you can speak to that.
Sure, it's a fun thing because just as you indicated, it's become generational. People have grown up, we've had children, now we have grandchildren that are all part of the equation. Many people have stayed in the area, but even those that have moved out of the area come back for these events. They'll plan around that to reconnect. And the neat part about it is it's not just a class, it's the entire school.
Yes.
And to your point, administrators, teachers, even people that were other support within the school, cafeteria and others have come back and been part of that, and we share stories. The stories continue to get bigger and bigger, which is all part of the whole legacy of it. But the other neat part about it, it's a closed club. no one else can enter the club because in '83 we closed the school. So it's not like you can now become, and you know,
Right.
I suppose we have some honorary Kingsmen. Like
Yes.
I would probably include you in that group.
Thank
but,
you, thank you.
But it's just,
I'm honored.
It's a fact that it's a closed club, and over time it's almost become Camelot.
Well, one brief shining moment.
That's it. And
Yes.
where the women were strong and the men were pretty is what we like to say. So.
And what you said too, those who were freshmen in '83 and so on, that graduated from East or from Central and West, they're Kingsmen. I mean, there's no doubt they went to Joliet East. They are Kingsmen, even though they had to graduate from another campus. And we talk about Larry Walsh. And he talks about, well, he went from Central to East, and then his sister went from East to Central.
Right,
you know, and that's how it happened. But they're Kingsmen. And you talked about kids and grandkids. They're all invited. Come and celebrate. The kids, the grandkids, come and celebrate with the Kingsmen. However, we don't have room for 1,000.
No, not this time.
No, at the Joliet Area Historical Museum. But we are opening up the whole entire museum. It's on the rooftop, which is an absolutely wonderful place.
Beautiful venue.
It's a great venue for a party. And then we have the auditorium downstairs, newly renovated, beautiful. We're going to do a PowerPoint presentation of Joliet East, the history, like we did at the stadium. And we've got lots of good things planned. So,
What's the question? Oh, yeah, I'll do that. What
Yes,
date
sir.
is that? Madam?
the date is Saturday, July 21st, from 6 to 11 p.m. And it's just $35, but that does include complimentary food. It will be, you'll have a DJ,
Right.
Mike Markley,
Yes.
who's the class of '77. And I think it's called Men in Black.
That is him.
And so it's just, I'm so excited about this, as if I graduated from Joliet East. But I am honorary. Thank you. I am honorary. And I do have to say, to thank Joliet East, you had a beautiful party in September at Lloyd Erickson Field, or Lloyd Erickson Park. And when I left Joliet JT, they provided me with a scholarship. Bob Navarro, they started a scholarship in my name with the JT Foundation. And thanks to Caroline Portlock and Sandy Matichek Churchwell and the Joliet East, presented me with $1,000 for my scholarship. Oh my gosh, that was so
I have
wonderful.
another question. What's the process of you mentioned $35? How does he get a ticket?
Okay.
How does he get?
You get it. Okay. The gentleman in that chair.
Yeah.
The Kingsman in that chair.
That's right.
He can go online to JolietMuseum.org. There's a whole way to order tickets. You can register online. There's no tickets, actually. There's reservations. You pay for your reservation. There's a guest list at the door. But they go online, JolietMuseum.org, or you can pay by check. Send it in to the museum at 204 North Ottawa Street, Joliet, or walk into the museum and pay for your reservation. Now, Joe and I know that this 1,000 people that came to the stadium won't fit in the museum. So
There's a sense of urgency that
Yes.
you got to get on this.
that's right.
I mean, just being in the museum itself for an evening and the ability to take that all in is the $35 you're fed, but it is part of recapturing that, like I mentioned, a bit of Camelot on an annual basis.
I like
we
that.
like that. It brings you back.
Yeah, I love that that Camelot.
Whether
I'm
the men were
focusing on
pretty, I
that
would
now.
remember that.
Right.
The women were strong. Richard.
Yes, the women were strong, the men were pretty, and that's Camelot. And
So there's a 500.
that's it.
That's
Not 501,
No, we can't.
and not 499. We won 500.
That's
On the
right.
nose.
On the nose, 500.
Okay,
Yes.
July 21st. The other opportunity for you, and listening closely now, if you are a Joliet East alum or if you're a business owner, you're someone who wants to support this organization. They've been around for 54 years now. Here is an opportunity for you to be a sponsor.
All right, I've put my glasses
Put
on
your
for this one.
put your sponsor glasses
Oh,
on.
I could have Joe read
Oh,
this.
no, you go right ahead,
Okay.
please.
Okay. East alumni and friends of East alumni, or those who wish they were East alumni, it may also celebrate by being a sponsor. The levels are green and gold for 500, gold for 250, and green for 100. Recognition to all sponsors will be given at the event, and the sponsorship payments may be made via check or credit card, and you can make checks payable to the museum, again, Joliet Area Historical Museum, and attention Mike Brick. Now, for more information, you can call Mike also at the museum, and his number is 815-723-5203, extension 7213.
You know, one of the nice things about doing these interviews, I learn things. You know, they have a whole new phone system at the museum.
Oh, yeah, they do.
I now know his extension. I never can get that extension right. Now here, I'm going to put you on the spot. Okay. But we rehearsed this thing just before, so it's perfectly okay. Were there, among all of the VIPs who graduated from or went to school and were students at Joliet East, were there a few names? She mentioned one, Larry Walsh. Sure. Were there any others of, all of the graduates were renowned, but were there some who were a bit more renowned?
Of celebrity success, the
well,
most obvious one was Lionel Richie.
Lionel Richie.
So he just was on, I believe, American
Was he in the
Idol.
band? I suppose he was in the band, right?
I think he was involved in music and stuff. He was a little bit ahead of my time, but
he was ahead of your time, 67.
Well, that's all right.
Because he wasn't involved in the band. I tricked you with
Did
that.
He should have been. They should have got him in the band.
Don't tell about it. I mean, do a little quiz here.
Okay.
A little quiz.
All right.
If he wasn't in the band, he wasn't into a lot of sports. He wasn't in choral. But there was one sport he was very, very good at. In fact, he got a scholarship, I believe.
Tennis?
Yes.
Bingo. You have just won something really special, and I'll tell you when we're finished with the program what you've won.
I'll take Joliet East for 400.
There you go.
This
She's cheating now. She's good,
well,
right?
this alumni directory.
created it.
Okay, we're looking through the pages of this alumni directory and collage.
Yes,
of course.
I was a member of Collage.
Oh, you were a member of
4
Collage.
years.
Collage.
What is Collage? What was Collage?
Collage was a choral group, a swing choir choral group that we danced, sang, performed at many local
Chicagoland
places.
area.
Yeah, all over. It was led by Arlene Nudie, probably one of the people you'd put on Mount Rushmore from Joliet East. She was just an amazing lady that developed so many different people, and she was one of those people that brought people in. She had athletes performing in the musical and kids that weren't involved in anything.
Those strong guys.
Yeah, well, they were pretty.
Pretty guys. Pretty guys.
And just she was a great aggregator of people, that talent or no talent, she brought you in, made you help build you up as an individual, which was. I benefited from that personally, so I always appreciate. Unfortunately, we just lost her recently.
That's right. She passed away recently.
But that was one of the things that was.
It's a good memory.
Very well known. And across the street from me, because my son was ready to go to Joliet East, and we lived across the street from Malone's, and they were musicians. The musical was West Side Story.
Yes.
Were you in that?
I was in West Side
Were
Story.
you a Shark or a Jet?
I was a Jet.
Oh my gosh.
It was my freshman year, but
great music.
Yeah, that was another thing where you learned. You not only learned about the musicals, you became appreciative of the arts, but you learned discipline, and you learned commitment, and you learned things like that. That once you were committed to that, you made your commitment, and she taught you discipline. Other people like Jim Tellerico was always a part of that. Keith White was an alumni.
Oh, that's right.
I
have
the Hipkins were always actively involved in those types of things, and that was, again, you could see the integration of pulling back alumni and an English teacher being part of something like that. Was with Jim Tellerico was a neat part of the whole school.
That's it just grips you.
Well, you brought that up. I mean, you talk about a musical. She had guys from the football team, baseball teams, basketball teams, all part of a Jet Sharks type of deal, where those guys probably in their life would have never imagined they'd have been on stage, let alone a musical.
Yeah. So, right. Well, yeah. You know,
singing.
You mentioned something though that's important. Obviously, you know this, but refresh your memories. When you're in a play or you're in a chorus, there's commitment, there's discipline. You learn so much more than just the music, so much more than the play. And I'm not talking about the cast parties, but I'm, you know,
Yes, we can't
that's
go
another
there.
thing.
That's another whole
Yeah,
story.
great
That
memories.
chapter's not in there.
No, I didn't put that chapter in.
But that will be discussed on the 21st of July.
Yes.
There'll be some
You
conversations
better believe
about
that.
But that's so great, and that's why it's important to keep those programs going in our schools. Not always all about sports. We need to keep the arts in our schools as well. Okay, it's time to do this one more time because people are in and out watching. You have to do the commercial, and when you do that one, I'm going to talk about Al's Steakhouse. So go ahead.
All right.
Tell the folks how they get, well, not tickets, but how they sign up and get the $35.
Hashtag Kingsman Forever. That's the tagline. That goes deep to Joliet East High School. It's so important. So join us on Saturday, July 21st from 6 to 11 p.m. at the Joliet Area Historical Museum. You can make your reservations by going to the Joliet Area Historical Museum website at jolietmuseum.org. So you can register online. Your name will be on the reservation guest list held at the door. And then it's $35. And then also you may send in a check made payable to the Joliet Area Historical Museum. You can walk into the museum and visit the museum and make your reservation at that time. How's that? Is that right?
That's great. 2 locations. One location, where's the museum located?
204 North Ottawa Street, downtown Joliet.
And where was Joliet East?
Joliet East was on Mills Road, right off of Briggs Street and across from the Joliet Country Club golf course.
Between
Sort of the
Briggs and
19th hole of the Joliet Country Club.
Yes.
Right?
We could always see it.
Richard asked me how many students, how many
Yeah.
alumni, and I said on the average, 19 years, say an average of 200 a class, correct?
Right, 200 to 300.
Okay,
Yeah.
so now do the math, Mr. Banker.
So you're in the 6,000 range
There you go.
that
Thank you.
probably walked across the stage. And obviously we've lost some of those to time and to travel, but again, when you're talking about that number of people and when you get 1,000 people that show up, it shows the camaraderie that
Yeah.
goes with that. And you try and explain that to people, and some get it, but once you're a part of it, you totally understand.
Yeah. And it's a close club.
It's a closed club.
It's Camelot.
It's Camelot. You know, speaking of Camelot, let me talk to you about Al's Steakhouse. That's where we do these shows as often as we can, the profile shows. This is a great, iconic restaurant. It's the invitation is open to you right now for lunch. They have lunch specials every single day and dinner specials as well. It's a perfect place for just you and that special someone, or a little corporate business meeting. You can have those as well. If it's just the 2 of you, or if you have more, there's plenty of rooms here that are designed with you in mind for your business discussion, or maybe it's going to be a birthday party or an anniversary or a bar mitzvah, whatever it may be. They can set you up here at Al's Steakhouse. And of course, the famous Sunday brunch at Hamus, or some of you I know say Hames, and Jefferson, right here in Joliet. It's the iconic supper club. You know, there's not too many of these kind of restaurants around anymore.
That's right.
So take advantage of it. Al's Steakhouse has been so kind, so generous to allow us to do the shows here. So make sure that you put Al's Steakhouse on your calendar.
They've been here a long time, a little bit more on the commercial spot, because I dated here, and that was a long time ago.
Yeah, last week, wasn't it?
Thank
Laura, you and Laura.
Oh, yeah,
Still
thank you.
dating.
You're still dating.
Yeah, we've
You
been
know?
together 35 years and
Well,
still dating.
My wife and I have been together for 50 years, and I'm still
Congratulations
Wow.
to you and
Isn't
Nancy.
that
That's
something?
wonderful.
She's
And how
really-
about you and Julie?
31.
31 years.
We
All right.
met at Joliet East. We're high school.
There you go.
Oh, isn't that, you know?
Homecoming king.
With the bid were pretty and the women were strong. I'm never going to
No,
forget that.
Julie is pretty.
Yeah.
But you know, the homecoming king met his wife at Joliet East. She met her husband. 31 years there together. I mean, these are good stories. There's a lot of those stories.
Yes.
And hashtag Kingsman Forever.
Which will be talked about on July 21st. You mentioned this wonderful lady who was in the arts and music and plays. Were there other teachers that, I mean, you mentioned earlier at the radio station that among the people who go to this reunion, you have teachers. who
And-
also come.
Well, let me brag just for a moment. We've got a guy who went to Joliet East for a couple of years, who now happens to be the head football coach at Army.
Oh, that's right,
And his
Jeff.
dad was our football coach, a driver's ed instructor. I played for Coach Munkin for 4 years, or 2 years at varsity, and now Jeff is the head football coach at the Army. So that he, won the game against Navy this year. He's been at the White House.
First time in ages.
Fun to follow. I'm sure his family is extremely proud. Now, he's one that went to East for 2 years, went to Central, graduated to Central, but I'm sure he's got a lot of green flowing through his veins. His sister went to Joliet East for a little bit. His youngest brother never got to go there, but obviously his dad coached there for, a great extended period of time. So the Munkin family was part of the Joliet East deal.
I have an extension of that story. The Munkin family lives down the street from me in Cherry Hill, and Eric, my son, went to school with Tom, the youngest, and but played, of course, with Jeff and Tom, and was just so proud of them. And to think that he went on to United States, playing for Army from West Point. I mean, that is just fabulous. I saw Nancy not too long ago. She came up to me, we were shopping, and she came up to me and we hugged, and she said, come down and visit, and I asked her how Jeff was doing, and they're just so terribly proud. Wonderful family.
We
though.
all are. It's a great thing, not only for the school, but for the area, the city, and everything.
Mm-hmm. What I want you to do is grab your book,
Okay.
get ready. I want you to read what you wrote in there, because it kind of condenses this whole idea of having these reunions.
Sure.
And incidentally, Lynn Lichtenauer, when she was working for whatever that place was,
That's former school
that
district
former
somewhere.
school district that you worked for, Joliet Central and Joliet West and Joliet East had bits and pieces, but didn't have any organized history about those schools. And of course, moi over here put it all together and wrote 4 books, 3 books?
4 directories.
4 directories. And,
With my assistant, Betty Roston. I have
and
to
Betty
give her
was there,
good credit.
And, so I want you to, this is Joliet East Day, with the reunion coming up July 21st. And we'll do a close-up on that.
Green and gold, of
and
course.
Just read a little bit of what you,
All right.
you wrote.
In the book, there's also a letter, and I was showing Joe earlier, a letter from the different principals, from Jim Risk, from Leroy Leslie, from Arlene Urquhart. And they were more than happy to write the letters, and you should read them. But here's the last thing that I wrote when I was writing the history before we got into pictures and such. It says, one final note. In 1983, Joliet East's last graduating class walked the halls for the final time. Who would think that a school could disappear after being part of a community for 19 years? Time marches on without asking permission, and we must eventually accept what changes it brings our way. Nostalgia is an interesting thing because one only tends to remember the good parts. Life gives us brief moments with others, but sometimes in those brief moments, we get memories that last a lifetime. And so it is with Kingsman, the Kingsman Nation, hashtag Kingsman Forever.
Very well written.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations. Now, we're going to wrap this little interview up here today, and as Joe has mentioned, Lynn has mentioned, you don't have a whole lot of time here. So get yourself, for those of you who put it on the calendar, July 21st, that's fine, but now you need to act. Either get down to the museum, walk in there. In Ottawa, there's a parking lot diagonal from the museum, it's free parking. Get in there, walk across, get your name down there, and if you're watching on, you could be watching on YouTube, so then you have to get that Southwest Airlines ticket and get yourself to Midway, and then Uber yourself to Joliet, and you'll be in time for the reunion.
Oh,
right?
yes. Oh, yes.
All right.
And friends, family, those who wish they were East alumni, the public, just come and join us because it's such a heartwarming time, and I'm so excited about it. I can't wait. It is a fundraiser for the museum as well as a fundraiser for the Legacy Scholarship from the Alumni Association. Nancy Bartels is the president. She's a 77 East graduate, as well as Linda Emmert. She's from Joliet East. Gina Shosky. It's a great. Alumni Association is a great group.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
for
you
having
so
me.
much.
Thank you.
Always good to see you.
Good to see you. Thank you for joining us.
You gave her the hug for me, okay?
already did.
Very good, very good. Thank you for watching, and remember, July 21st coming up, Joliet East Reunion. I'm Richard Fredrickson, and this is Profiles.